The illusion of control. What if almost everything you fear losing was never yours to begin with? Your body will age, your reputation will be forgotten, your possessions will pass to other hands. Even your next breath is borrowed, not owned. The mind that builds its peace on things outside its command is a mind that has handed its own throne to strangers, to weather, to other people's opinions, to fortune's careless dice. This is the first shock. You have spent your whole life defending territory you never actually held. True strength begins the moment you stop fighting for control over the outcome and start claiming control over the only kingdom that was ever really yours. Your judgment, your response, your will. A storm does not ask permission before it comes. A betrayal does not check your calendar. A diagnosis does not wait for you to be ready. But none of these things can touch the citadel inside you unless you open the gate yourself. This is not resignation. It is the fiercest form of power there is, because it cannot be taken from you by any army, any illness, any enemy, any grave. Once you understand what is yours and what is not, fear loses its grip, because fear only survives on the illusion that the uncontrollable is controllable. Let go of what was never yours and watch how light you suddenly become. Death as a teacher, not a threat. What if the thing you spend your whole life avoiding is actually the thing meant to wake you up? Most people push death to the furthest corner of their mind, as if refusing to look at it will keep it from arriving. But that avoidance is precisely what makes life feel small, cheap, and wasted on trivial arguments and empty distractions. Imagine carrying every single morning the quiet awareness that this day is not guaranteed, not as a morbid weight, but as a blade that cuts away everything false. Grudges shrink. Procrastination shrinks. The fear of what others think shrinks. What remains is only what actually matters: how you treat people, what you build, who you become. This is the second shock. Death is not the enemy of a meaningful life. It is the architect of one. The soldier who has made peace with his mortality fights without hesitation. The person who has made peace with theirs lives without hesitation. Nothing sharpens gratitude like remembering that your next sunrise is a gift, not a guarantee. Nothing kills pettiness faster than realizing you are spending your only life on it. This is not about being afraid of the end. It is about using the end to finally start living like you mean it. The real enemy lives inside you. What if your greatest enemy has never once been outside of you? Not the rival who wronged you, not the critic who mocked you, not the circumstance that broke your plans. The real war has always been fought in a much smaller, much quieter battlefield: your own mind. Anger, envy, self-pity, and pride do more damage in a single hour than any outside force could do in a year, because they don't just hurt you once. They hurt you every time you replay them. This is the third shock. The person you keep blaming is rarely the one causing you the deepest pain. It's the story you keep telling yourself about them. Every time you surrender your peace to a grudge, you hand your enemy a second victory. The first when they wronged you, the second when you let it consume your thoughts for weeks after. Strength is not the absence of provocation. Strength is refusing to let provocation dictate your inner state. The moment you stop needing the world to behave correctly in order to feel calm, you become nearly impossible to break. Master the war inside, and no war outside will ever be able to conquer you. This is the quiet, invisible battle that decides everything else. Events are neutral. Your judgment is not what if nothing that has ever happened to you was actually good or bad until your mind decided it was. A cutting remark, a cancelled plan, a financial loss. These are simply events, raw and without meaning, until the mind attaches a story to them. Two people can experience the exact same misfortune. One collapses into despair, the other treats it as fuel. The difference isn't the event. The difference is the judgment placed on top of it. This is the fourth shock. You are not actually reacting to the world. You are reacting to your interpretation of the world. And that interpretation has always been yours to command. This is liberating and terrifying at once, because it means you can no longer blame circumstances for your suffering. But it also means no circumstance can permanently own your peace unless you allow it to. Practice pausing before the verdict. Ask what is fact and what is merely opinion dressed up as fact. Strip the event down to what actually happened, without the emotional embroidery layered on top, and you will often find it far smaller and far less threatening than it first appeared. This single skill, separating the event from the story about the event, is one of the most powerful tools ever available to a struggling mind. Duty over comfort. What if comfort has quietly been making you weaker, not happier? Every generation chases ease, yet the strongest, most respected people in history were forged not by comfort, but by duty, by doing what needed to be done, regardless of how they felt that morning. This is the fifth shock. The endless search for a life free of discomfort is actually a search for weakness, because muscle, character, and resilience only grow under resistance. The version of you who shows up when it's inconvenient, who keeps a promise when it's costly, who serves others when no one is watching, that version is the one history remembers, and more importantly, the one you will respect in the mirror. Pleasure fades within hours. Purpose outlasts decades. A life organized entirely around personal comfort produces a person who cannot survive the first real storm because they were never trained to. But a life organized around duty, to your family, your work, your principles, produces a spine that can hold weight nothing else can. This isn't about suffering for suffering's sake. It's about choosing meaning over ease when the two are in conflict, because meaning is the only thing comfort can never provide. Stop asking what feels good. Start asking what is actually worth doing. You are already fading. Act accordingly. What if you are already being forgotten right now in real time and nobody told you? Every hour that passes is an hour you will never get back, quietly erased the moment it ends. Names that once commanded empires are now barely a footnote. Faces once feared or worshipped are dust and rumor. This is the sixth and final shock. Permanence was always a myth, and clinging to it is what makes people waste the short, fierce blaze of their life chasing approval that will not outlive them by more than a generation. But here is the reversal hidden inside that same fact. If nothing lasts, then the only rational response is to stop postponing what matters. Say the words you've been holding back. Build the thing you keep delaying. Forgive the grudge you've been nursing like a pet. Show up fully for the people in front of you, because later is a promise the universe never guaranteed you could keep. Impermanence, once feared, becomes the very fuel for urgency and gratitude. You do not need more time to live fully. You need to stop pretending you have unlimited time to begin with. Act today as if it might be your only today, not out of fear, but out of respect for the gift you were quietly handed. What if everything you have been protecting your entire life was never actually yours to protect? Sit with that for a moment. Your body will age whether you accept it or not. Your reputation will rise and fall on the opinions of people who forget you within a week. Your comfort, your possessions, your plans for tomorrow, all of it borrowed, none of it owned, all of it subject to a force greater than your will. And yet here you are, exhausting your one fierce and finite life, defending territory that was never yours to defend. Here is the truth few are brave enough to face. You cannot control what happens to you. You never could. Not the storm, not the betrayal, not the diagnosis, not the sudden and merciless turning of fortune's wheel. But there is one kingdom that has always belonged to you and to you alone. Your judgment, your response, the quiet throne room inside your own mind. No enemy has ever conquered that room without your permission. No circumstance has ever broken a person who refused to let it in. This is not weakness dressed up as peace. This is the fiercest form of strength that exists because it cannot be stripped from you by any army, any illness, any grave. And since we speak of the grave, what if the thing you have spent your whole life avoiding is actually the thing meant to wake you up? You push the thought of your own ending into the furthest, darkest corner of your mind, as if refusing to look at it will keep it from arriving on schedule. But that refusal is exactly what makes life shrink into pettiness, into grudges nursed for years, into apologies withheld out of pride, into days spent chasing approval instead of purpose. Carry instead the quiet awareness that this day is not promised. Watch how fast your grievances shrink. Watch how fast your gratitude grows. The one who has made peace with the end lives, finally, without hesitation. But before you can face the world with that kind of courage, you must first win a much smaller, much quieter war, the one inside your own chest. Your greatest enemy has never been the rival who wronged you or the critic who mocked you. It has always been the anger, the envy, the self-pity you allow to fester long after the original wound has closed. Every hour you spend replaying an insult is an hour you hand, freely, to the very person who hurt you. Master that war, the one no one else can see, and no outside force will ever be strong enough to conquer you. And once that inner war quiets, you begin to notice something remarkable. Nothing that happens to you is inherently good or bad, not until your mind decides it is. The same event breaks one person and forges another. The difference was never the event. The difference was the story placed on top of it. Strip away the emotional embroidery. Ask what actually happened, stripped of interpretation, and you will often find it far smaller than the version your fear had built. This is where comfort reveals itself as the quiet thief it has always been. The endless chase for an easy life is, in truth, a chase toward fragility, because character is not built in comfort. It is forged under resistance, under duty, under the weight of doing what is right when it is inconvenient and unrewarded. Pleasure fades within hours. Purpose outlasts decades. Choose the second every time the two are in conflict. And remember this, because it is the final and most sobering truth of all, you are already fading. Right now, in this very moment, you are being slowly forgotten by a world that will not pause to notice. Empires that once ruled continents are now footnotes. Names once feared are dust. So stop postponing what matters. Say the words you've been holding back. Build the thing you keep delaying. Forgive the grudge that has been quietly poisoning your peace. You do not need more time. You need to stop pretending you were ever promised unlimited amounts of it. Control what is yours. Release what was never yours. Face the end so you can finally begin. Win the war inside before you seek victory outside. Judge less, observe more. Choose duty over comfort, purpose over pleasure. And act today as though it may be the only today you are given, because in truth it might be. This is not a philosophy for the weak. It is a discipline for the ones willing to become unbreakable. Walk that path today, and may strength find you exactly where you stand. Good luck, and thank you for watching. What if everything you've spent your life protecting was never actually yours to protect? Your body will age. Your reputation will fade from memory. Your comfort, your plans, your tomorrow, all of it borrowed, none of it owned. And yet you exhaust your one fierce life-defending ground that was never yours to hold. Here's the truth. You cannot control what happens to you. You never could. But there is one throne that has always belonged to you alone. Your judgment, your response, the room inside your own